It is Friday Eve. Glad you're with us. Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Emily Campagno. Also joining us today, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall and host of the Ben Ferguson podcast and co-host of Verdict with Ted Cruz podcast, Ben Ferguson is here. Let's begin with a story gaining national attention. Louisiana has become the very first state in the nation to require the Ten Commandments be displayed in all public school classrooms. The law is already facing legal challenges from civil liberty groups who are going after it for a violation of the separation between church and state. Chief religion correspondent Lauren Green is on this for us. Lauren.
Hey, Harris. Well, the proponents of the bill believe the Supreme Court will be on their side in any of the legal challenges and predict other states will start to follow Louisiana's lead. The Ten Commandments are part of the bedrock of Judaism and Christianity. But the state's Republican governor, Jeff Landry, argues they also have historical significance as a huge influence on America's founding documents and our legal system. And Governor Landry signed the bill into law yesterday alongside several other education-related measures. The GOP drafted legislation mandates that a poster-sized display of the Ten Commandments in large, easily readable font be required in all public classrooms, from kindergarten up to state-funded universities. Within minutes of the signing, a group of civil liberty organizations announced they plan to file a lawsuit challenging the bill as a blatant violation of the separation of church and state, saying in a joint statement, HB 71 will result in unconstitutional religious coercion of students who are legally required to attend school and are thus a captive audience for school-sponsored religious messages. Supporters of the bill are confident the High Court will side with them in a legal battle, as there is a new litmus test for holding up religious symbols that are part of America's founding.
Like we said, whether it's history, whether it's law, whether it's media, whether it's education, the Ten Commandments has been present and prevalent in all of those arenas since the founding of our country. And so while there is certainly a religious nature to that, the Ten Commandments, more than anything, have that rich history and tradition in American law.
State funds will not be used to implement the mandate. Posters will be paid for through donations. Back to you guys.
All right, Lauren Green, thank you very much. So, you know what? That's kind of part of the religion part of this. Carrier Bond told me something fascinating, Kayleigh, last hour. There are places where the Ten Commandments and Moses in particular, their statues and the depiction of what the tablet said on the east pediment of the U.S. Supreme Court, for example, and in other places.
Yeah, Carrie's exactly right. You have the Ten Commandments on the Supreme Court, Library of Congress, National Archives, Ronald Reagan International Trade Building, but sure, it belongs nowhere near schools, even though it's a foundation for much of secular law. I did want to point out, and you brought this up in the Faulkner Focus, Gavin Newsom, his tweet about this, Louisiana has the worst crime rate in the nation, but this is their priority. Okay, so apparently it's wrong to have a priority to put the 10th Commandments in schools, but here's the priority in California. The Federalist headline, San Francisco's London Breed thinks the mayor's top job is naming drag queens. That's what she challenged her debater to do on stage. So that's the priority in California. And I just want to challenge what he said quickly. So it's wrong to have the 10 Commandments in schools. It won't solve any of our remedies or problems. But Madeline Murray O'Hare, she founded American Atheist. She's responsible for getting prayer out of schools. Her son became a minister. And let me just read one sentence from him. July 17th, 1963 was the first day Baltimore's children could not pray in schools. Before that date, there had not been a single murder in Baltimore schools. 30 years later, there's a Baltimore school police officer to deal with violence and drugs in schools. So laugh all you want. 10 Commandments, I think, is a better solution than naming drag queens.
Ben.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because they seem to be taking a little bit different approach. If it's about religion, I think it gets thrown out. And I think if they're saying we're going to, have it, the equivalent of prayer in schools, state-sponsored, it's not going to work. If you go at it from the way they're talking about it, which is from a historical standpoint, I think there's a much better argument. And so I don't want people to have false hope. I said this on my show earlier today. I'm like, look, I don't want to get school back or prayer back in school for this reason. I'm afraid of every different religion, depending on where you are, throwing in their prayer and forcing someone to pray into a certain religion. I also get worried if it's on a solely religious viewpoint where then they say, okay, well, in this school, we're going to have, I don't know, whatever religion, Satanism or Wiccanism. You could go through the whole list. And I worry about that when you have local municipalities say, all right, fine, you guys want to play this game? We're going to start with the Quran. How are you going to deal with that? So if they go at it from this unique way that the governor's done it, which is saying, hey, this is historical in context. This is something that we're not paying for from the state, which is a brilliant move. I think there's a chance that this could actually work out. And I would say, well done. At least they thought through it before they just went all in with it. We're going to have 10 commandments. It's religion, and we're going to have a fight. We're going to lose in the courts.
Emily.
Yeah, I appreciate that distinction and emphasis so much because that's exactly where the analysis is going to lie. Now, the court, what they will do is essentially determine whether does it effectively coerce religious observation by having that poster up in the room. And to one, the response is absolutely not. It's a poster in a wall. And note that the proponents of this, the plan, is that it's going to be accompanied by a 4-page contextual document. And as they say, the 10 Commandments had played a historical, foundational place
Bingo.
in the state of Louisiana, among others. And so they're really saying this is historical significance. And then the other important thing I think that I really want viewers to understand is that the distinction between church and state does not require the exclusion of expressions of faith from the public square. So when you hear people on the far left usually, or agnostics, arguing there must be nothing, there can be no cross or something, it does not. It does not require the complete eradication of public expressions of faith. It just simply requires a distinction. Here as well, this will be paid for by donations, no tax dollars paid
Smart
for
move.
this.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I note one final thing, that Texas and Oklahoma tried to do this in the past, but then they backed off amid threat of litigation. Bravo to Louisiana for sticking with this. Bring the litigation on because they will succeed.
Well, look, it's a conversation, Leslie, worth having. I mean, if it sits in a place of justice like the U.S. Supreme Court, there is historical background for the principles of thou shalt not lie, thou shalt honor your mother and father, that sort of thing. And as Carrie and I talked about last hour, that is the bedrock of many religions, including Islam.
Yeah.
I mean, and so in some of these places, the establishment of the historical importance of the 10 Commandments has already been established. I wonder where you feel this will go.
So as the mom of 2 teens, as the product of public school myself, I'm more about the solutions to the problems. And I think it's great that private donors care so much about children in Louisiana. But if they did, Louisiana is 49th in education. We have 50 states. They are 1 from being the bottom in education. 1. 2, one of the highest teen pregnancy rates. 3, school lunch programs. Are we feeding the children? So as a former Christian, one of the things that I would like to see, the Jesus that I know in the Bible, and I'm not a spokesperson, but I think he would care more if we really cared about the children. And I looked at the 10 Commandments again this morning, and I have already violated one of them, coveting these ladies' shoes. So,
Not exactly the same covet, but I appreciate
Well, you don't have a wife.
Can I just make one 10-second point?
So that's my problem with it. As a parent, is I would like to see them focus more on the children, on
This
the
is.
getting
And I
think
proper
that's what
diet.
This is.
This is not. This is their
I
education.
couldn't disagree with
Just
you
one
more.
10-second point. The Kennedy Bremerton case, do you remember the
Praying
coach who was praying on the 50-yard line? A lot of the analysis that you were referencing was thrown out the door with that case. So I think the ACLU loses here. They had something called the Lemon Test thrown out the door. So I think Louisiana prevails because of Kennedy v. Bremerton.
You know, this is worth having this discussion, Leslie, because if what you're saying is by being 49th in some of those areas of educational performance for the students in Louisiana, if what you're saying is that they haven't tried many other things, that pretty much they've tried everything else and nothing has turned. So faith comes in, and it comes in last in this instance. But as Ben has pointed out, and as Emily did too, I mean, we've tried this in other school districts. We know we're in trouble. We know that we're going to need something more than X's and O's. And we know it more intimately now as parents than we knew it before the pandemic, because we see the teaching and what's coming out of some of these classrooms. So if you really want to move the needle academically, you may want to try every single option.
And the governor ran on that.
This is on. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he ran on.
And I'm certainly
I know
not
well.
running for anything.
And
but
I'll say this: he
I'm
ran
just
on
a
this,
parent.
and as a former, he's an AG, and he ran for governor. He made it very clear: I'm going to do things radically different in the state to get us from being at the bottom.
Try
and this is one part of it.
Yeah.
And I've
But
never
if you
heard of a
want
kid
your
having a
kids to
horrible
have
life because of
religion,
10
then
commandments.
You send them to a school affiliated with your church
But they
or your
spend most
synagogue
of their
or your
time
mosque.
But it
in
is
that
part of
public
history.
school. Maybe those people don't have
It's
the money
history.
to
But
do
I'm
what
going to
you're
bet you
doing.
$50
And if
here on
you're
national
preaching
TV
school
that
choice
they're not
right
going to
here,
go up from 49th in this particular school district. in the
I
state
root
of
for people to
Louisiana
succeed,
with,
not to fail.
With the 10 Commandments being posted.
I root for people to
But
succeed.
we already know you walked away from Christianity, so you
Yes, I
don't
did.
have that faith.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Well, I have a relationship with God. I just am not a Christian.
But we're talking about Christianity. Right. And you made it clear on your own.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.